Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
45. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day for Tuesday, 5/6/25. 45 is the number of three-point shots the Boston Celtics missed last night against the New York Knicks. In game one of the second round of the NBA playoffs, I thought I had seen almost everything. And with the Celtics, we know their plan. They take the most three-point shots of any team in basketball, and it's not particularly close. They average 48 shots, three-pointers taken per game. Number two, Golden State Warriors. They average about 42 three-pointers taken. The Boston Celtics live by the three. They die by the three. They're up 72-52, 75-55, midway through the third quarter. Knicks fans feeling like it's fine. Game one. We have got the hangover from the Pistons series. We just have to get 1 out of 2. You know, it's just not our day. We're tired. We're grumpy. Okay. Couple made shots, a couple clanks, couple made shots. All of a sudden, it's a game. And then the Knicks take a lead, and then the Celtics hit some shots. And then they miss some shots. I want to talk about how it is that you put a team together the way the Celtics have. And I want to immediately put a warning out here to my good friend, Chris Brockman, who listens to the show. You can catch him on the Rich Eisen show every day. A diehard Celtics fan who is of the belief that the Celtics should have won 83 games this year, positive that they will win the championship, almost to the point of cocky. Celtics fans after a game last night where they shoot 15 for 60 from three. 15 for 60. The side note, they missed more threes than any team in the NBA takes. That's how many they missed last night. They missed that many and lost by 3. We could have had a totally different show this morning, which, of course, Chris would have appreciated if the Celtics won by 3. In order for the Celtics to have won by 3, they would have need to have made 2 extra threes. We'd agree, 1 extra 3, tie game, 2 extra threes, you win by 3. Don't worry about the butterfly effect. Just suspend disbelief just for this quick sec, if you don't mind. Making 2 extra threes would have had the Celtics 17 for 60, which would have had them missing 43 three-point shots. Side note, that's more than any other team in basketball takes over the course of an entire game. That's the Warriors with 42. The Celtics go into the locker room last night having lost home court advantage, down 1-0 in a series where they see the series line, it's odd, subject to change, go from 700 minus to 350 or so, basically halved. And the question is, why? What about the Celtics after last night has you or anyone saying this series is different? Is it that you think that there can be 4 such games like that in the next 6 where the Celtics will shoot 15 for 60? Is it that you feel as though, as a Knicks fan, that taking 1 out of 2, you will win all 3 games at home? You've got home court advantage. You win the series now 4-2 in 6 games, which means you're taking 3 out of the next 5. Is it as a Celtics fan that you're totally dismissive of everything that happened last night because it's a unicorn? We've learned with the Celtics that when you are going to be this team And make no mistake, this is what the Celtics are. The ugliness. This is what Adam Silver looks at with the other owners and says, this is your game. Is this what you want? Do we have an interest in a game where you've got Tatum and Brown in the second half going 3 for 18? Where in the fourth quarter, Jason Tatum goes 0 for 7 from the field and 0 for 6 from 3. Where it's not a matter of, are you John Starks going 2 for 18? You just are. And you live with it because you feel as though the next one will go in, whether it's that game or the next game. And there's no way that you're going to ever lose a series playing the percentages the way the Celtics do. And the worst part about the state of the NBA is that the Celtics are right. If you thought the Celtics were going to win the series yesterday, then you wake up this morning having the same conviction. There is nothing about last night that tells you the Knicks are the better team. There's nothing about last night that says anything other than chalk it up to one of those things that comes with the territory, or what we say in business, the cost of doing business. That exists in your business. It exists whether you're on air, off air, whether you're making widgets or firecrackers. There is a cost of goods sold. That's a concept you may know. A cost of doing business, which is what do you have to spend in order to get revenue? In basketball and in sports, it's what you have to spend to get a win. We do a calculation in baseball, $7 million per win. It's all made up. You've got analytics people and you've got 20 people in the analytics department. Don't get me started, Coca, because I'll go a full 10 minutes on the side telling you the insanity of the analytics department who go to the GM and then the president and the owner and say, listen, I'm telling you now, all we need is an assistant to an assistant hitting coordinator, and all of a sudden we'll be good if we have the right equipment in the clubhouse and we put a Fitbit on their ankle to let us know whether they've tossed and turned 7 times during the night or 4. I'm not making that up. This sort of analytics exists. It's the same analytics that tells an NBA team, you, of course, keep taking threes. The 2-point long-range shot, the elbow shot, they're useless. Why would you bother? It's why every single, forget Stockton to Malone, we're talking about 3 people on the wing. Forget Steve Kerr or Jim Paxson. We're talking 3 people are always behind the line. You swing the ball around. You make the extra pass. You take the 3. If it clanks, it clanks. Try to get back on defense and not give up points in transition. If I see one more player on a breakaway pull up to take a 3, it's analytics gone mad. It reminds me of spring break in Fort Lauderdale. Everybody has lost their mind. And then, of course, I say to myself, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the old guy. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong because the Celtics only lost 108-105 with one of the worst shooting performances you'll ever see. I can't wait for the rest of this Knicks series and the rest of this Celtics series. And I'm very curious how the Celtics will ever have an answer for the biggest threat on the Knicks, who is obviously Brunson. Do you know a stat that Coca gave me before the show? It's pretty good. There's only been 3 players to score 75-plus fourth quarter points in their first 7 postseason games. Only 3. Now, it's in the play-by-play era, all different eras in stats. In the NBA, when they tell you this has never happened since the play-by-play era, that is since 1997-98. In your first 7 postseason games of a postseason, Jalen Brunson. You know who the other 2 players are who have scored 75 or more points in the fourth quarter through 7 games? Steph Curry and Kobe Bryant. That's it. So it's easy when you're the Celtics figuring out what to do, and it's not letting Brunson out alone on an ISO, dribbling the ball on whoever is guarding him and doing the shake a dope, rope a dope, Earl Monroe, I'm better than you, getting off a shot, no question about it. The Celtics will figure out a better way to defend Brunson. And at the end of the day, the Knicks needed a perfect performance plus an outrageous performance by the Celtics to just get this victory. minus 350. Should be all over it. I finished my night watching the Nuggets and Oklahoma City play. And I've told you who I root for. I told you that I like the Nuggets. I told you I love Denver. Nothing against my friends in Oklahoma City and nothing against SGA and the fact that they are a team that is going to win a title. But there is something about the Nuggets. There's just something about Jokic. Now, it's not that he went 42-22. It's not that the Nuggets found a way to win in Oklahoma City, where Oklahoma City's been, I think, statistically, Coca, the best home team in basketball. They won 68 games in the regular season. Heavily favored to beat the Nuggets in this postseason and gave up the home court advantage, which you fight for all season long, immediately in game one. But you look at the Nuggets team and you say, Jokic, Murray, Gordon. Name another threesome. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis? Are you sure? Brunson, Bridges, Towns? You think? Name another threesome. Edwards, Gobert, Conley? Oh, A-Rod, I'm just kidding. That's not the threesome you would name. I'm not sure there's a better one in baseball. You just got me. So let me explain what just happened for everyone who's paying attention to the show. Thank you. I was talking, Coco was talking, and I got totally fermished, which is why I said baseball. So just edit that out. 4-8-6-9. I don't think there's a better three in basketball than what the Nuggets have with Gordon, Jokic, and Murray. Yet, the stats tell you, the odds tell you that OKC is so heavily favored. However, after losing game one, again, it got halved. So the value, if you are still an OKC fan, is to take them right now for the rest of the series. If you are believing in the Nuggets, you got to grab them while you can if you didn't believe before game one, because you're, again, getting half the value taking the underdog. As I was watching the end of that game, Coca, I just want to remind you that so many people are out on Jokic as the best player in basketball. It is, to me, the Ohtani situation, where if you are going to pitch and hit, which he doesn't do anymore because he's had a second Tommy John, but if you were going to pitch and hit and perform as a pitcher and hitter the way that he has, you're the MVP. That's it. He won unanimous MVP. It's just the DH, but that's the bottom line. What Jokic does, forget the fact that he gave you a 40-25 game, and he's the fourth player in history to do that. Nobody has games the way Jokic has games. Why is it? Is it the ugliness of his game, the color of his skin, the location in which he plays, the accent with which he speaks, the total lack of care about basketball, and his desire to just get home to his family? What is it about it that makes you not like the game? You may not like the person, the attitude, the location, but please, you got to watch Jokic play. There's no one better. When you're talking about who the best players are in NBA history, and for there to be no discussion of Jokic, it's not about recency. It's about people being dead wrong. Dominant. And if Denver gets past OKC, they are and would become, if not should be now, the favorite to win their second title in 3 seasons. I want to talk about statements right now. Thank you to all of you who reached out at davidsamsonpodcast.com. Keep reaching out with stuff. Even if you think I've heard of it, reach out and tell me about it. David P. Samson on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Many of you reached out about the Justin Tucker situation and how the Baltimore Ravens released him. And many of you, which really makes me feel good, Coca, we are building this show here. Many of you reached out with the statement that the Ravens made when they released Justin Tucker. And you're right. It's going to make the show. And you're right. It's an all-timer. Let me remind you about Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers in all of football, last year struggled mightily. We actually had to wait to see that Justin Tucker would find his way to make a big field goal in the playoffs. Didn't happen. Justin Tucker accused by 16, Justin Tucker, I called him Tugger. Tigger. Didn't mean to. Justin Tucker. 16 women have accused him sexual misconduct during massages. Totally different situation than Deshaun Watson. But when it happened, I was very clear. Coca seems to think we don't have a wait to see on this, but I thought we did. If any of you remember the episode where we discussed the allegations, go back and listen to it and see if we had an official wait to see, which appears on the document on davidsamsonpodcast.com. There was no way he was going to play for the Ravens ever again. Then the Ravens drafted a kicker. They drafted this kid from Arizona named Tyler Loop, a 6th-round draft pick. Wasting a draft pick on a kicker, not often, not common, but we knew that Justin Tucker was done. Now listen to what the Ravens GM said about the release of Justin Tucker. Sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult. And this is one of those instances. Considering our current roster, we have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker. Justin created many significant and unforgettable moments in Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. And here it comes. Wait for it. We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. Here we go. Everyone breathe. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in this next chapter of their lives. There is more horse hockey in this statement per square word than in just about any statement we've covered on Nothing Personal. And let's start right at the top. When you're talking to your PR people and discussing the fact that Justin Tucker is not going to be on your team because you are not going to be the team that gives another chance to someone like that, you've done it so many times. Wait a minute, you may have drafted a player who had other such sexual allegations against him. Let's not worry about that. You may have had to release Ray Rice at some point. Let's not talk about that. Let's not discuss what we would do for certain players who are good and certain players who are not. Let's not confuse the issue by ever saying that executives will make decisions based on talent, not morals. Let's not even say that. But let's tell our audience and tell the fan base that sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult, which means that most times football decisions are incredibly easy. Well, I wouldn't want that to be known as I'm going in for a contract negotiation, but they somehow wanted to choose the words that sometimes, in order to set up the next sentence, that this is one of those times. Really? For who? I'm sorry, what am I missing? Justin Tucker, who was mediocre with occasional doses of absolute unreliability last season, put that with the allegations against him. What was the exact tough decision? Is it because you drafted a kicker and needed to make a roster decision? Was it because he was in the middle of a 4-year, $22 million extension that was unheard of for kickers and that you are saving $4.2 million? Is it the money savings? Is it, oh, Coca, you're a Ravens fan. Could you answer this for me right now? If Justin Tucker did not have one allegation against him, would they have drafted a kicker and released Justin Tucker? Can I just get a show of hands from the studio audience in front of me? Anybody there? Hello? I'm looking over the abyss into the mind of Matthew Coca and other Ravens fans. If he's being honest with you, it doesn't matter that Justin Tucker was undrafted. This is amazing, Coca. You're going to get a microphone. You're going to get to come on the show at some point and give this view, because what Coca wants me to explain to you is that, by the way, Justin Tucker was not even drafted. Undrafted. That doesn't answer the question, Coca. Would Justin Tucker have been released? The fact that they drafted a kicker does not in any way tell me anything, because all you have to do is sign an undrafted kicker. All you have to do is have anybody come to camp. You knew Justin Tucker could not put the uniform on again. Why in a statement do you say this was a tough decision, considering the current roster that you did by drafting the kicker? The reason I'm at the end of my rope on these statements is that, for whatever reason, I don't know if executives all think that this time it's going to be different because you're all listening to the show and you all pay attention to your statements, but you all have the same issue. You all write the statements, you accept the statements as given to you by your PR people, and you assume that your fan base is idiotic. Why? Why not come out and just say what you're doing? Is it because you're worried about a grievance? Guess what? In the NFL, it's a non-guaranteed contract. You can release Justin Tucker because you don't like the color of his hair or his political beliefs. You can release Justin Tucker because he can't hit a field goal, or you can release Justin Tucker because he's got allegations against him, or you can release Justin Tucker because the day ends with why. And no one gets to ask the question. The statement should have been very simply, they didn't even address the allegations, trying to pretend that it didn't matter. Why are you afraid of that? Why is any organization afraid to acknowledge that one of their players or one of their staff members or one of their presidents, whoever it is, did something that is morally abhorrent? And that is reason enough because you don't want to live in the halo of that. That's okay. Except when you're a team that doesn't mind living in the halo of that. Except when you're a team that has proven time and time again that you will match the Chiefs player for deplorable player. I got a final thought on the Justin Tucker situation and on Eric DaCosta and what they're trying to do, because the media is going to talk to them again. This statement is not going to suffice. And either you're going to double down on this significantly difficult football decision, or you're going to be a mensch. You're going to look into the camera and you're going to say, what would you do when you combine the lack of performance on and off the field? Of course, we were going to move on from him in a post-June 1st designation. We're going to gain $4.2 million in space. We're going to not pay his salary, and we get rid of this distraction. I get it. 18 years of doing it, and I get it. You're embarrassed. You think that people aren't going to understand what you're doing, or they're just going to take what you're doing and accept it as truth. Coke, I was so guilty of that, I can't even tell you. The high horse that you're on when you're the president of a major sports team, when you think that your feces doesn't stink like everybody else's, when you think that you have the ability to cover anything up, anything, and you can make anything up that you want, something as innocuous as attendance and something as major as covering up when people have bad behavior. All of it because you have this view that you've got one of 30 jobs, all because you have this thought that you are the most important person in any room in which you're in, and it turns out nobody cares. All they're asking for is the ability to root for a team and to have hope and a chance, and for one iota of honesty. That's it. It seems so easy to say and so hard to execute. Does Josh Harris think that we are fools? It's the theme of the day, really. You're a fool if you think the Celtics aren't going to take that many threes in game 2. You're a fool if you think that Josh Harris is not in cahoots with Donald Trump about the NFL draft. You're just a fool if you're thinking that. What a funny thing that happened when Donald Trump announced that the 2027 NFL draft was going to be in Washington, D.C. Got together with Roger Goodell, Josh Harris. Do you think it has anything to do with the new stadium that's being built or hoping to be built at the RFK site? Do you think that there's any pressure on local politicians to make sure that the building gets approved, because the great announcement that was made actually meant nothing because none of the approvals existed? Oh, by the way, Donald Trump has absolutely nothing to do with the local approvals that are needed. Oh, by the way, the local politicians are scared that if Donald Trump wants something that they don't deliver, that they will be fighting for their political lives. Do you think that Josh Harris isn't playing chess while Donald Trump is playing checkers? Getting Donald Trump to be a part of an announcement. And Roger Goodell is no fool. He is selling the NFL draft as a standalone entity, building on what they have manufactured out of thin air as an event that takes over the day, the week, and the month prior, if not starting now. Can we ask our friends at CBS if we have a mock draft yet for 2029? I assume we do. I mean, those guys are in 7th grade. Let's go. Actually, those guys are in 9th grade. Do you know the NFL is telling you that they could draw 1 million people to the National Mall watching the draft? That would be 4 times as many who came and watched it in Green Bay, because who wouldn't want to go to D.C.? It's a perfect place to travel to. Go watch. Go to the Holocaust Museum. Go to the Smithsonian. Go to the Jefferson Memorial. Go to the Lincoln Memorial. Oh, by the way, you watch the draft. It's going to be very funny when we see the attendance for the 2027 draft, because we'll get to say how many people were there, even though some of them were not there for the draft. They were only there because it's DC. Hard to say that in Green Bay because no one's going to Green Bay. The tourist economy in Green Bay, I'm sorry, Green Bay, love you, but what's your tourist economy? Packers, football, snowmobiling. Josh Harris wants to make sure that he gets everything done. And so he had Trump release some sort of statement during the announcement that was pretty funny. The draft is a celebration of one of our most cherished cultural institutions. Everyone in the world is going to be watching. I'm sorry, Coca. Can we get on screen, were we to ever have the capacity to have more people working on graphics, would we not get on screen the number of times that Donald Trump has said that NFL owners are idiots? Can we go back to the draft? When Shedeur Sanders wasn't drafted and he impugned everyone in the NFL, we don't have to go back to the lawsuit. We could if you want, but we don't have to go back to the dollar lawsuit. We could. We could go back to any number of tweets that President Trump has sent impugning the idiots in the NFL and the rich owners who own teams. Now, of course, the draft is a celebration. I was fully expecting Kool and the Gang to come right out and start singing. And then I realized and thought better of it. Trump wants to make sure, and here's the money shot. You know the money shot. I don't think there's a better sight in the world, Trump said, about the Commanders building at RFK Stadium. Huh. No, I guess those aren't related. I guess this was totally normal and totally fine. And I guess what happened here is that Josh Harris and Donald Trump and Roger Goodell just happened to be in the same place at the same time. And they just thought that it would be great to talk about how great for our country the draft would be in D.C. Here's a little news flash for you. Just a quick side note. The draft is not correlated to our economy, number one. It's not correlated to any of the overseas and Middle East peace process. Not correlated. The number of people who give a rat's tinker's damn. And listen, we make a living on sports. I get it. But the hyperbole of how great the draft is for our country, how great the stadium's going to be at RFK, Donald Trump, what were you paid? And this is not an anti-Trump comment. It's just a question. I'm so jealous. I couldn't get the president of a local bodega to tell me that the rendering of Marlins Park was beautiful. Nobody. And I thought it was. As soon as I looked at that rendering, it's going to be beautiful. Does he not know? He's got to know. Does he not know? Renderings never are what the, well, whatever. Let's go to break, Coca. Boy, do I have a movie to review. And then we have a So You Want to Talk to Samson, where I think the music's going to work this time because Coca put a patch on the button which says SYWTTS. We'll get to that after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Samson. How are you? Thank you for being with us every day, 8 to 9. Hi. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. Thank you for being with us every day, 8 Eastern to 8:50, live on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. Thank you for watching us on the DraftKings Network. We appreciate DraftKings. We appreciate the network. We appreciate the audience who's listening. More of you could listen. Maybe it'll help the rankings. Just kidding. I watch a movie every day. Coke, I forgot to tell you what happened to me last night. This was a funny one. So the Nuggets game ends. I have a routine, as you'd be shocked to hear, when I'm done for the day or the last sports game happens is I go on my phone. I'm reviewing the rundown for today's show. I'm looking at topics. I'm thinking about things. I'm looking at box scores. I'm looking at videos. I'll go to TikTok. I'll wash up. I'll do all sorts of things. I'll check my emails. I want to make sure that my brain is fully activated before getting into bed, because how else can you be an insomniac? You can't get into bed with a calm brain. Somebody sent us an email at davidsamsonpodcast.com who took umbrage with us saying that we do movie reviews. He said, and I shouldn't say it's a he, could be a she or a they, je ne me souviens pas. I do not remember who it was. But here was the theory, Coca. Theory was, you don't review movies, David. All you do is tell us whether you like them or not. Okay. Guilty as charged. I watch a movie every day, and I give you my review. I'm not giving you a Siskel and Ebert review, a New York Times review. I'm giving you, do I like it? Would you and should you spend the time to watch the movie? That's it. When I tell you that I watched Another Simple Favor, all I want is a thank you. Thank you for watching that movie and telling me that under no scenario should I ever watch this movie. Thank you for telling me that while you were curious because of the whole Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick situation where you loved A Simple Favor and you thought that the sequel could be good because the director is someone whose movies you enjoy. And then the next thing you know, Blake Lively is kissing Blake Lively. And you say to yourself, that seems awkward. And then you say to yourself, God, I can't separate Blake Lively and what is going on with her from this character. And then you say to yourself, God, do I feel badly for Anna Kendrick in a way that I felt badly for the other stars of Snow White. And then I say, I am doing something for you. You do something for me every day. You give me 50 minutes of your time. Maybe one day you'll give me 100 minutes of your time. But either way, what I'm doing for you just today is saving you. Give me the number, Coca. Give me the number. I'm going to look right now because I can. Because even though we're live, Coca said, David, feel free to just look something up. You can do it during a show. Well, I am going to look it up. 2 hours. I think it's actually 2 hours and 2 minutes. 122 minutes. You're welcome. Do me a simple favor, Blake, and make better movies. All right, Coca. This is your moment.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
You cannot accuse us of not learning our lessons. So you want to talk to Samson. That's when you get into my X, get onto David Samson podcast. This show is going to become yours. We do a segment like this from time to time during the course of a week. There will be a time where we will want to do something like this for a show. We love your questions. Keep them coming. It's based on the movie Half Baked, a character named Samson, who everyone wants to talk to. David, I know what you would do. That intrigued me already because I always like to feel that I am totally Austin Powers, a man of mystery. No one knows what I'm going to do next. David, I know what you would do. You would trade Alcantara. What would you do today? It's an interesting question. Thank you for asking it. I think that in your effort to be brief, you did not give people the full idea of what you're asking here. I think when you said, David, I know what you would do, I think you mean as president of a team, I would trade Alcantara, and you're making fun of the fact that I traded all these players. Maybe that's what you were doing. But okay, I'm still going to put you on the show because you're asking what would I do today. And the reason why you sent that email, as it was one of the last things that I got a chance to see during the last 6 hours of my day yesterday, is that Sandy pitched against the Dodgers last night and had another bad start. This is a former Cy Young Award winner, the only one in Marlins history, coming off Tommy John, who was number one on everyone's list around the country as trade candidates at the deadline, where the Marlins would get a huge haul for moving Sandy Alcantara to a contending team. And I argued before the season started that starting pitching, you get your most value during the season, but a player coming back from Tommy John, you are at risk. You are at risk of lack of performance. You're at risk of another injury. You're at risk of rust. And when you've got $17 million guaranteed to Sandy next year, and then you've got a $21 million team option or a $2 million buyout, which means you've got $19 million of guaranteed money owed to Sandy, and you are a team that is resetting. Yes, I'm using the word. I could use rebuild. I could use retool, but that would be a tooly thing to do. It is irresponsible not to trade Sandy Alcantara. And what's happened now that he is 2-4, and those of you who say wins and losses don't matter, I would only tell you that you've never spoken to a baseball executive. But anyway, he's got an 8.4 ERA. My guess is after he gave up these 5 runs to the Dodgers yesterday and another Marlins loss, Coca, for qualified starters, and I would assume that he's qualified and that he's pitched 31 innings, and the Marlins record is what, Coca? They played 31 games. My guess is they are 12. Oh, they could be 13-20. So that means he is not qualified because you have to pitch 1 inning per game played. Do you love? Say it again, Coca, please. 13-21. They played 34 games. He's only pitched 31 innings. He is not qualified in ERA. Amazing. If he were qualified, my guess is he'd have the worst ERA of any starter. What do you do? Well, if you're Peter Bendix and you're running the baseball operations for the Miami Marlins, you are not making any calls on Sandy. You're instead calling your owner, Bruce Sherman. And you're saying to Bruce, I understand your concern. I understand that we're losing money and that we're out of the race and that we're going to be sellers. I understand that he's our biggest asset, but he will still be our biggest asset. We may have to pay an extra $8 million this year because we don't trade him. We may have to pay the first half of him next year, but we believe in him as a player and performer, and we cannot afford to trade him at the low. This is when you get a business and a baseball at loggerheads. This is when your GM is telling you something, and as team president, you say, I hear you, but we got to save the money. Our budget doesn't allow to carry Sandy past July 1, because if we do, then we have to pay him the last 3 months of his salary, which is about $8.5 million more. We need that savings in order to cut our losses. We were willing to ride it out if we were competitive, but we're not. We're 13-21, trending obviously the wrong direction after a very nice start. Which reminds me, side note, Coca, do you remember when I told all of you after April, all of you so excited when 10 games were being played and the Angels were 7-3 and the Marlins were in first place and everyone was so excited about different things that were happening with your team, and then reality hits and we're only on the 6th day of May. And there are teams that are already falling to where they were going to be, where they were projected to be. The Marlins will have to make a business decision. Bruce Sherman will have to speak to his investors and say, is it worth to keep Sandy in order to get better players in return? When we are deciding that, we have on our board, and Coca, we had a board that it was a huge, huge whiteboard, and we had several of them in both the GM's office and AGM's office. And on that board were several things: our depth, our minor league players, our prospects, etc. But we also had lists of players on other teams that we wanted all through their system. We had scouts scouting the minor league system for all the teams, and we would then compile lists of trades that we would do. And it would help inform what the GM would do when you're trying to trade Sandy. Who are you calling? How are you calling? And what are you asking for? It basically does what I liked, which is takes the emotion out of it. And the emotion comes when the owner calls after you get a pitcher who is rocked again and saying, trade him, get him moved right now. You then get to say to the owner, hey, this is what we expected to get back. If we trade him now, this is what we're going to get. And the delta between it is what you're giving up by trading him at the low. You see, it doesn't take a genius to buy high and sell low. That's pretty much what everybody does. The geniuses are the ones who buy low and sell high. when you ask why people prefer the Tampa Bay Rays as one of the best run organizations or the Cleveland Guardians as one of the best run organizations. Why are you saying that? Because they're willing to sell high. They're willing to trade players a year too early and not a year too late. A concept that I was never able to fully communicate internally, but a concept that mattered. And if you think about it, think about what the Brewers do when Matt Arnold, the great GM over in Milwaukee, president of baseball operations, finding a way to compete year in and year out, trading players at the high consistently. When the Brewers traded Devin Williams to the Yankees in the post Juan Soto, I'm going to be a Met. Let's sign Goldschmidt. Let's trade for Devin Williams and let's get Max Fried here. Let's get everyone to forget about Soto. Devin Williams came in. That guy had them change George Steinbrenner's beard policy, for crying out loud. Devin Williams comes in as a lights-out eighth-inning guy to Josh Hader with the Brewers, a lights-out closer once Josh Hader was traded and then signed to that huge deal. How's Josh Hader? How's that team doing? Devin Williams leaves the Brewers, goes to the Yankees, and Devin Williams has become Jordan Montgomery. He positively stinks. And we told you that when you're taken out of the closer's role, you are put in low leverage situations. You have a few good outings, and then you start getting put in higher leverage situations and eventually become the closer again. It's right in the playbook. Devin Williams was put in a game last night after having 3 straight good outings. He was put back in a relatively high leverage situation with the Yankees in a saved situation up 3-0 in the 8th inning. This is an opportunity to get Devin Williams in the game, not as the closer, but in a closing situation. Devin Williams was terrible. He ends up being a part of giving up 4 runs in the 8th, and the Yankees lost to the Padres 4-3. And the reason why this matters so much is that if they can't pitch Devin Williams up 3-0 in the 8th, he's become a middle reliever. He's become a low leverage. You cannot put him back out there. But if you don't put him back out there, his confidence is ruined. If you do put him back out there and he blows it again, you're looking at Heath frickin' Bell. If you know, you know. So the Yankees are in a position where they make a trade and you think you're getting an asset and it turns out you're not. This business is hard. You know what else is hard? Picking games. Nothing. Personal pick of the day. Attention. The 8.2% of you down in Florida, thank you. I'm sorry I picked against the Panthers, but we were getting the Maple Leafs at home plus 105. Of course we're going to do that. The Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. That's older than I am. Not by much. The Maple Leafs ended up winning 5-4. We're a winner. I got 2 picks for you today. 2 picks. 1, Justin Verlander of the Giants. Do you remember I told you that he is a candidate to get DFA'd? That may even be a wait to see that I had in a rundown, Coke. I don't know if we ever made it official. Justin Verlander's been fine. Giants have been very pleasant surprise this year. And going against them is the Cubs, who some people believe are favored to win the pennant in the National League. Shocking. Some people believe they've got the best offense in the game. Colin Ray is pitching. Yeah, that's the guy I traded for and then returned back to San Diego. That is the guy who is part of why I do not deal with or cannot live with AJ Preller, who lied to us directly about Colin's health, who made up a separate medical record showing health while secreting away a medical record that showed the injury. That's the guy. He's still pitching, which would indicate that AJ Preller was right to hide it. No, it doesn't. Colin Ray is minus 148. Cubs over the Giants. We're taking it. Game 1. A-Rod's got to be happy. Home in Minnesota. Watching Minnesota playing the Warriors. Steph Curry and Draymond are back. Second round. Trying to take out a T-Wolves team that's trying to get back to the conference finals for a second year in a row. They're favored by a touchdown. And have you watched the second round so far? Pacers, road team, win. Knicks, road team, win. Nuggets, road team, win. Here we go. 4th game 1. Is it going to be a clean sweep? Do you think that 4 road teams are going to win game 1? You can bet your sweet Bippy the answer is no. A touchdown? I'm not scared of that. T-Wolves -7 over the Warriors. I want to end with something today that happened. It actually happened 2 days ago with the Texas Rangers. We've done a couple of segments on the Texas Rangers. They did something which was amazing. They fired their hitting coach, and they did it. Forget that they hired Brett Boone, which is, if you know the Boone family, that's Aaron Boone's brother, Bob Boone's son. Brett Boone to be the hitting coach. The reason why the Rangers fired their hitting coach is because they can't score. Their offense has been horrific. They signed Jock Peterson, who's been a disaster. But the statement made by Chris Young was really quite special. He sent out a release that the Texas Rangers have announced that offensive coordinator Donnie Ecker has been dismissed from his position. Listen to the quote. After lengthy discussions and deliberations, we feel now is the appropriate time to provide our hitters with a new voice as we pursue goals of winning the division and reaching the postseason. I've had a lot of those lengthy discussions and deliberations. I have. And I've had them with the owner. I've had them with the president of baseball operations, had them with the VP of player personnel, had them with the CFO, the vice chairman, the general counsel. That's what you do in baseball. You have lengthy discussions and deliberations. The reason why I never put it in a statement is because what happens is you've made the decision in an acute way after something bad has happened, but you wait. You wait for the right moment, and it's idiocy. I don't know why we do it. We can't fire the manager after losing 3 in a row. We have to let him win a game. The Texas Rangers fired the guy Sunday after they had scored, I believe, Coca, what was it, 8 runs in a Sunday victory? They then fired him because it was the day before that was the problem, and the decision was already made the day before and the day before and the game before. The way those lengthy discussions and deliberations go is it us? Did we have the wrong people? There's no way. We just won the World Series. There's no way we made a personnel mistake. I'm the hottest young thing there is at 6'11". I am the new president of baseball ops. I've worked my way to this position. I can pick players. It can't be Boch. He's the greatest manager ever. We can't fire him. No way. What do we do? Oh, that's what Samson says on Nothing Personal. We go to the coaches. Because as you know, when there's a new voice in the batting cage, when there's a new voice in the clubhouse, that changes everything. All of a sudden, there's a new approach to hitting. There's a new concentration on analytics, or you ignore analytics, or you do whatever was going on, you do the opposite. God, I've fired so many hitting coaches, Coca, and I always said the same thing. We have been deliberating this. We've been thinking about it, and it's the new voice that's going to make the difference because it's not too late. Go back and look at coaches that get fired in May. I'd like to do this, Coke, if you don't mind. I'd like to know whether or not the Rangers are going to have a rebirth and whether or not that rebirth is due to Brett Boone. We've got a wait to see for you today, and I just can't wait. Coca wants to have me explain to you what an offensive coordinator is, and that's pretty funny. We have found a way in baseball to hire way more people in the front office as a way to show you how rich we are and how much money we have, is that instead of just having a few coaches, it's like the NBA where there's now 2 rows of coaches. It used to be Red Hulsman and 2 guys, Pat Riley and Dick Harder and a couple guys, Jeff Van Gundy. Now you got 12. Baseball, we got everything. We got a bullpen catcher, a bullpen coordinator, a bullpen coach. We have a catching coordinator. We have a hitting instructor. We have an assistant hitting instructor. We have an offensive coordinator who's going to give our offensive philosophies up and down the entire organization. We are going to have single A, double A, triple A, and big leagues. We're going to have them like this. We're going to be so close. Our fingers are going to be in lockstep as we have a philosophy that builds towards players in the big leagues that when they get there, they know exactly what our approach is. We all say it, and it's all total horse hockey. It does not work that way ever. I'm going to give you a wait to see on Jock Peterson, if you don't mind. You know that name. He got quite a bit of money from the Texas Rangers. He's hitting, forget the Mendoza line. The guy can't find 3 figures. He's hitting 094. What do you do when you owe a guy a bunch of money next year? You let it go until the second half of the season, and then you realize your mistake, and then you designate him for assignment. Wait to see when we tell you something's going to happen. If it does, fine. If not, we will revisit all of them. We always do. Jock Peterson will get DFA'd by the Texas Rangers this season. They'll call him into the office, and they'll say, hey, it's just business. We've already packed your stuff. This is nothing personal.